Alrighty, welcome back. I'm pretty sure you have figured out everything we need to know right now. But nevertheless, let's do it real quick together. So if we go into the downloads directory, I take this application and then we put it into our apps directory over here. Privacy friendly Dize. Okay, I'm using JDX GUI for this one right now. There we go, but as always, I like to have a look into the Android manifest first. So within resources. Alright, so here we can see we have two permissions, vibrate and internet. I guess the vibrate permission is used to shake this device. So you can shake this device to simulate that you're rolling those dices. But I'm not 100% sure about this one. Nevertheless, we've got a bunch of activities over here. And this one is our entry point, the splash activity. So we want to have a look into this one first. And then let's see, we've got this one, what's the name? That's the main activity, okay. I have to scroll down a little bit to the right. Okay, so here we can see we've got a main activity, we've got an about activity, we've got a help activity, we've got a settings activity, tutorial activity, and is this one also? No, that's a content provider, okay. So I guess the first entry point is the splash activity. So therefore, let's have a look into this one. It's within org, secuso, privacy. So org, secuso, where do we have it? Privacy friendly, and then we've got UI. And this one, here's the splash activity. Okay, here there's a decision made between a tutorial and main activity. Let's have a look into the main activity class. Okay, so here we are in the main activity. Let's have a look into this one. I like to have a look into the imports over here. So we are importing some resources, some activity main bindings, content main bindings, and shake listener. All right. Then let's see, what do we have here? We've got a Dize view model. All right, this sounds not that promising right now. Here we have the onCreate method. Get Dize live data. All right, this seems to be not our related stuff. Init resources, we can skip this one. And here we have another init resources. Here we have roll dice. This sounds not that bad. So this is in this Dize model roll dice. And let's have a look into this one. Oh, that's also nice, show dice. And this is something that's also very important. Regarding to an Android application, most of the time you can manipulate both stuff. You can manipulate the value itself, or you can manipulate the output that's being shown. I guess that's also the case here right now. So we could only manipulate the data that's being shown to the user, but in the background we have our original data. So this is something, unfortunately, you can see out there regarding to banking malware. So the banking malware is providing some output to the user that everything is probably fine. So that the account and the money has been transferred to the correct one. But in the background, the real data are different. So therefore, the money has not been transferred to the original person. It might have been transferred to the attacker. So this is some example to an application we do not want to deal with. But I want to mention this over here because this also affects our applications. For example, in our SpacePing applications, we can also have two live values. One that's being displayed and one that's being used to calculate if the game goes on or if the player has lost all his lives over there and the game is over right now. And so if we do not take a close look into this one, we might only manipulate the value that's being displayed, for example, the player lives. Then we've got over 9,000 player lives. But the real value, which is being used to do the calculation if the game is over, and therefore we could still lose the game by having 9,000 lives, but only on the display, not on the value which is being used to make the calculation. Alrighty? Perfect. In this case, we do not want to manipulate the show dice function because this is only the output of this one over here. Therefore, let's have a look into this one, roll dice. This is defined in the device view model roll dice. Okay. And here we have a bunch of other stuff. Let's see. Model, labels, numbers, face numbers, okay. And here we have this Dize live data post value. And then we've got this roll dice, this Dize roll dice. Maybe have a look into this one. So we click on this one and there we go. This looks exactly like our function we want to analyze. Okay, so this one here, okay, this looks promising because we have the secure random number generator over here. And here we can see we are generating a random number and storing it in this way. Maybe let's get out our graphic tablet and discuss this real quick. Don't worry, we do not dive too deep into this because it's about Frida. But yeah, I want to show you how this function over here works. I mean, it's a very basic function, but nevertheless, let's figure out what's going on over here. Alrighty? Okay, so here we are back on the graphic tablet. Let's have a very quick look into this one. Here we have our secure random number generator. Alright, then we've got a method, roll dice. So let's write this down. Roll dice. And this one is returning back an integer array. And it has two parameters, pool size and phase number. So pool size and phase number. Okay, and pool size, let's see. Here we are generating a new integer array and we are storing this in dice, in an integer array of dice. And here we can see we have dice.length. This means the first parameter, pool size, this is the amount of dices we have. So our integer array over here, let's see. Integer array dice. And this is now the amount of dices we have. So this is 1, 4, 1, and 3, for example. Okay. And then we've got the phase number. So we are iterating over this one over here, so that's clear, okay. And then we've got this phase number, and this one is now being used in random next int. So we are filling this array right now with numbers, and these numbers are being calculated based on random next int over here, in this one. So this number that's being generated, for example, this number 1, maybe let's do it this way. And this number 1 is being stored in this array over here. So this one is holding the number 1. And by generating those random numbers, for example, 1, 4, 1, and 3, we are generating our dices over here. So these are being stored in this dice array. And this one is finally returned over here. So this dice array is then being returned. This means our function works in the following way. We are generating some random numbers over here with the next int, random next int function. And then we simply store them in an array, in this one over here. Afterwards, we are simply returning an integer array containing those numbers. And afterwards, the application is putting out those dices, the amount of dices, which is based on the amount of numbers over here, and also these dices with the correct numbers, this one. Okay, so this is how this function works. Perfect. So now we have a lot of options to patch this function, and we will use a bunch of them. So I want to show you or provide you many options to deal with this application to manipulate this. That the result, for example, over here always shows 1, no matter what's being calculated in this function over here before. Alrighty, this is something we do in the next sections, but we do this step by step. So we do not start by patching this whole function right now. We start with a different task. This one over here. So before we patch the return value, let's first try to observe the parameters of this function over here. We hook in this method over here and then we observe these parameters. So we print out these debug statements we have seen in the onResume method, but this time regarding to those parameters. We haven't talked about this right now, therefore we do this together. In case if you're already familiar with Frida, of course feel free to try this on your own right now. You can also try to already patch this whole function that it returns a certain values. For example, 5 times 6 or 5 times 1 or 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, however you like this. Alrighty, so this is all for this video right now, and don't worry about this Frida part. We will start with this together in the next video and we will figure out how we can print out those function parameters. And then we will apply even more patches step by step until we have everything we need to know about hooking and class method. Alrighty? Okay, so I'm really looking forward to see you in the next video.